रिकॉर्डिंग के लिए हाँ हमारा फिर हमारा माइक और माइक
no this is recording he hand
okay Varun Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, and the vibrant community of thinkers and doers, a warm and resounding welcome to the next speaker session of Eximius 2023. But before we dive into the excitement, a friendly reminder to you all, let's keep those phones at bay and engage the enriching experience that awaits us. I am Roshni, standing before you on behalf of the entire Eximius team. So we start the next session here. But before we proceed, allow me to introduce the master of our stage, Varun Mayya. Varun Mayya, a computer grad from Manipal Institute of Technology, was an early beginner in the startup ecosystem, having founded his first venture, JobSpire, at 19. This popular Indian recruitment platform saw nearly 190,000 applications sign up and over 1,500 companies. JobSpire not only became one of the youngest teams to raise VC money, but also saw an amazing exit in early 2017. Later, he founded Scenes, which is the ultimate community platform for enterprises, educators, and creators alike to build a social engagement suite. It was recently acquired by Unacademy in 2023. Also, he runs Overpower.ai to update audience on latest happening in tech space, especially with AI. As we invite him onto this stage, we invite you all to join us in what is certain to be a captivating and enlightening discourse. So let us come together to absorb their insights. Now I open the stage to Varun.
Thank you. Awesome. What's the average age group of the room? I'm hearing like 28 on one side. I'm hearing like 18 on the other side. Okay, can we agree on 23 roughly? Cool. Okay. 23 is fine. Okay. No, because 28-year-olds want to hear very different things from 20-year-olds. Okay. Also, I think we're recording right now, right? This is going to go online somewhere. Okay. I have a proposition to make. Okay. Can we stop recording for like 2 seconds? I have a proposition to make. Okay. If we don't record, I can tell you the truth, right? This is valuable for your careers. Okay, great. You guys have made your decisions. Okay, I'll tell you why. There are lots of things. We live in a very sensitive internet environment right now, right? I left Twitter recently. And we live in a world where every statement I say, I have to calculate now, right? Not just me, like every other person who's been on the stage will probably have to calculate what they're saying, right? I don't want to do that because I think when you listen to this, your careers are on the line. My job here is not like, I'm not an influencer, right? My job for the last decade has been to create careers. From the beginning of my career, when I started a recruitment platform to like much more recently when we built software, I think an element of what you do today needs to be the truth, right? And I can't tell you like the raw truth when there's a camera recording because I've got to be like, what do you call it? PG-13, right? So I'm just, so are we recording? We're not recording. We're not recording, right? Okay, what do you guys think? Poll, live. Right? I lose out because I don't get a YouTube video saying I am Bangalore, Varun, whatever. But I don't care. I think this is about your career and I want to be super, focused on that. I'll tell you a little bit about what I do, okay? What I've done historically, what I've started doing in the last few weeks, last few months. Okay, awesome. So my name is Varun. I studied computer science in college. I studied, believe it or not, neural networks in college. Which is the underlying basis of, actually, it's not the underlying basis. It's like many steps behind where AI is today. But I studied in college and I realized it's pandemic. It was an accident. It was random, but it happened, right? And essentially, uh, my learning is that from the entire thing is that gig economy is going to be massive, and you people will be part of that gig economy, right? It will be unlikely over the next few decades that most of you are doing one job. How does that change your thinking? How does that change your perception of a career? And by the way, I've helped tens of thousands of people in India with their careers. I don't think anyone is more qualified to talk about digital careers. There's lots of careers I don't know anything about. But I think very few people are as qualified as me to talk about digital careers. We've created careers. We've hired thousands of people in our life so far, right? And I'm telling you that your concept of career is going to be different. How many of you thought about what's going to happen post your college? Put your hands up. Okay, what do you think is going to happen post college to you? No, but forget about that. Forget about me being in the room, right? Just tell me what you are thinking. मैं ये college कर लूंगा, फिर I'm going to get a 20 LPA job, and then I'm going to be set for life. How many of you think that? Somewhere baked into your plan is, oh, I'm going to do this for 5 years, then I'll start. I'm right, right? Come on, I know you guys. Come on, I've seen thousands of comments. I know what people want. Am I wrong? Is there anyone who will contest this? I'm doing this because there are thoughts that are in many of your heads that you're not going to talk to with the rest of the room. Private thoughts. I'm pulling those thoughts out. And it's fine. That's why I said we're not recording. It's a private room. We are never, okay. Pinky promise we're never going to talk about this outside. Okay? Cool? Now tell me, what is your plan for after college? Can anyone tell me a job plan after college? Serious plan. Or what have you told your parents? Anyone? Someone? Okay, you're laughing. Tell me. But tell me the plan either way. Anyone who's studying, who can tell me a plan? Okay. Right after college? That's impressive. That's courage. Anyone else? Yeah.
And then if you recover the amount that I spent on the college, also have some funds as a reserve for maybe my next venture or something that I want to do.
What's your name?
That's what.
Prajwal is the most honest person in this room. Because that's the median Indian, by the way. That's the median thoughts of an Indian student, especially male in India, especially in Bangalore. So I respect you for that. You can sit down. Sorry, I don't make you stand. But do we all agree with that? Yeah? You agree, right? You're going to do a job for a few years, you're going to learn about the world, and then you'll start up. Okay? Now, let me, because I'm in the quest of honesty, let me tell you something. Most startups will fail. Most startups you start will fail. Not because you can't do the thing, but because you can't get clients. It's hard to get clients. Right? Everyone's competing. And you'll realize after a few years, there are only few niches. And there's small changes in history, like when AI came out, for example, where new jobs are created or new types of businesses are created. Those are opportunities for you. But if you go back to an old opportunity, if you say, oh, I'm going to build the next Mama Earth, or I'm going to build the next, I don't know, you're competing with everyone else. It's the equivalent of somebody standing up and saying, I'm going to be the next motivational influencer. Well, good luck competing with Variku and all the others. It's hard, right? So essentially, what I'm trying to say is many of your plans are not going to work out, and you're going to find this middle ground, this friends with benefits, by doing multiple gigs. It's going to happen. Okay. That's number one insight. Second insight. A lot of those gigs, do we agree, are going to be digital? Anyone here wants to do an offline job? Be honest. I love honesty, guys. Okay. What do you want to do? But what do you want to do? Like what kind of offline? No, but by offline, I mean, let's say driving an Uber or managing a fleet of cabs, something in the real world, real estate. Okay, what do you want to do? Event management, okay. Manufacturing, okay. Construction. Or you just put your hands up. How many of you want to do an offline job? Awesome. Awesome. Like 5% of the room, 3% of the room, something like that. Okay. All the others want to do online jobs, right? And I'm part of the problem because I create the narrative. So many others created the narrative that online jobs are great. Yes, they are, right? White collar jobs are right now being paid. Like the average white collar worker would be paid better than the average blue collar worker. It's how it's worked, right? You're billing hours for your cognitive effort. You're not billing for the manual effort that you put in. But guess what? You now have a competitor. That's insight number 2, right? My learning a year ago. ChatGPT is here. It's not just ChatGPT, right? The image models have gotten better. If you've seen Cypher 10, which is an image model from a year ago, and you look at, actually Cypher 10 is a few years old, but if you look at Cypher 10, it's like terrible outputs. Look at Midjourney now. Dude, it's gotten so much better. I shared a graph today on Instagram saying that, look, here is all the tasks that humans are traditionally known for. AI has beaten them now, right? So my second insight is all of you doing these 3-4 things at once, doing white collar jobs, multiple gigs, are going to see a very, very strong cognitive rival who costs $20 a month. Okay. And I'll tell you something. Okay. There are lots of people who don't believe in effective market theory. Some of you have studied it, right? Like supply and demand of the market sort of normalizes. I strongly believe in that theory because I'm a business owner. If I have the option between hiring somebody for $1 lakh a month, let's say, and $10 a month, and the output is the same, I'm going to hire the thing that's $10 a month. Right? It's obvious. All of you would do it. Right? Every single person here would do it. So, in the online world, we now have a cognitive rival. And I knew it. Like the minute I saw ChatGPT, DALL-E, the first DALL-E, I was like, hey, this is going to do what I do even better. I mean, I'm known for the online world. This is going to do what I do even better. Okay. That's when I saw this interesting tweet by Elon Musk, and I believe in that tweet. Okay, this is coming to insight number 3. What is the value of money in a world where all of us are going back and doing offline things? All our money is digital. All our accounts are digital. Everything is digital. Okay. I assume a lot of people who don't find success doing these things online are going to go back doing offline jobs. There's nothing wrong in doing an offline job. Case in point. How much money do you think newspapers make? You're a young audience, right? I asked you, 21, 22, 23. How much money do you think newspapers make? Huh? Losses. Who else? 5 crores. Okay. More than 1 crore. Okay. I'll take the biggest ones, guys. Take Times. Take Dainik Bhaskar. Take Daily Tanti. These are regional ones. Take the Hindu. Huh? Guys, FYI, newspapers are killing it. Yeah. It doesn't matter to them. I've studied newspaper businesses to the T. I know all the guys who run newspaper businesses. I know the Times team well. I know the Dainik Bhaskar team well. I know the Daily Tanti team well. I've studied newspaper businesses extensively. Okay, because we are trying to sort of build something like that in the digital world, right? And I can tell you that these businesses are crushing it. Many YouTubers are pulling more views. We pull more views than many of the large newspapers in India. We actually do across our channels, but we don't make a fraction of what the newspapers make. Because India is still a pretty old country. Offline is still respected. People will pay you 2 rupees per day for a newspaper, but they will not pay the same thing online. I'm talking about India specifically. You wouldn't do it. For all your modernness, you wouldn't do it. 2 rupees a day, you wouldn't do it online. So a lot of the online behaviors in India don't exist. That's insight number 3. And coupled with the fact that you are doing these jobs anyway, digitally, you all want to do these gigs and jobs digitally, there is no opportunity there. So many of you are going to say, just like the newspaper businesses, just like the manufacturing businesses, like the real estate businesses, you're going to wake up one day at 30 and be like, offline is the way. I can guarantee you this. You can take it in writing from me. All of you have learned to excel in the digital world. That's what you're doing a business administration degree for. That's what you studied for. But if there are no opportunities, the market will force you back offline. There's nothing wrong with it. You can still make the same kind of money, but the market will force you back offline. It's our next insight. Okay. So, pop quiz. What is still valuable in the online world? We are all learning together, guys. I'm trying to pull out these in. Huh? Distribution. Somebody says distribution. Obviously, if AI can create content, I'll differentiate between content and distribution. Okay. You guys all know Raj Shamani? Now, Raj Shamani can create content. Okay. He creates content right now. He has a channel called Raj Shamani. He has a channel on Instagram called Raj Shamani, right? Raj tomorrow can use AI to make his content much faster. He does talking head content, right? It's his face on a screen. He'd say something. It's got subtitled, etc., etc. Telling you, from scripting to him being on screen is going to be completely automated in the next 2-3 months. Okay, he's going to use these tools, and suddenly you're going to see him post 2 reels a day, 3 reels a day, etc., whatever. Right? He might still do a long form video once in a while, and in 2 years, we think even that is going to be replaced. Okay. What does Raj Shamani have? He still has the channel. That's the difference between content and distribution. Distribution means you own the channel, you own the brand. When you're sitting here, people recognize you. Content is the specific unit, the piece that goes out on Instagram or YouTube or whatever. Right? So what I'm saying is content is going to be automated, but distribution is going to remain. What else? Trust. Somebody said trust. I think trust and distribution are the same. Today, anyone can make a song exactly like Justin Bieber. Does anyone disagree with me? You can make a song exactly like Justin Bieber. Anyone disagree with me? Same voice. Okay, you disagree? Check out this technology called RVC. There's a tech called RVC where you can put your own voice in, right? You can sing along, whatever. You can translate it almost perfectly to Justin Bieber's voice. It's like near perfect, right? So, and if you haven't seen that reel, we've done reels. Me and Tanmay have done these reels on Shah Rukh Khan. We've done these reels on Arjit Singh, few others, right? It is bloody perfect, right? And it's going to get even better. Give it 6 months, you have that long tail 2% increment that looks even better, that sounds even better. So my point is, okay, that why do you want to listen to Justin Bieber? Like, why would you go to Justin Bieber's channel? Because you want the authenticity, right? You trust Justin Bieber. You still, even if the people can make Justin Bieber fakes, you still want to watch an official video by Justin Bieber. You want what? His brand. His face is going to be irrelevant because any random channel can make his face. Like a lot of people do this, by the way. They take clips of Overpowered, for example, and they put it on their own channel. Does that mean I'm going to start losing views because of that? No, because you're still going to come to the source, right? So what I'm trying to say is, in the online world, brand, trust. What else? Creativity is useless, right? Creativity is the ability to remix things. None of you have ever thought of original thought in your life. Neither have I. We take something, we add some remix to it, and that's why these cross-functional, cross-domain people, right? Somebody who comes from a different domain, like somebody who comes from biotechnology, comes into entrepreneurship, suddenly is doing amazing things. That's why me, as an entrepreneur coming into content creation, I'm doing things very differently from other content creators, right? So this cross-functional expertise is us just remixing ideas in new ways, but there's no such thing as an original idea. And believe it or not, remixing ideas, AI can do better than human beings. Steal like an artist. What else? Data. Got it. Okay. But I would argue on the data front that you don't hold any, you really can't match a Facebook or a Google or a large business with lots of cash, right? I do agree that data businesses will exist, and we're investing in a few, right? So it makes a lot of sense. What else? Financial services. No, I think it's going to be completely automated. And I think financial services, believe it or not, especially for high wealth individuals, is going to be offline. Counseling, I think you'll have an AI counselor. AI. No, I'm talking about what's the advantage online. Top 10 businesses exist because they have the trust and the distribution. So it goes back to his points. What I'm trying to tell you, yeah. So So marketplaces. Guys, is Zomato a tech company? You all agree? Zomato is a tech company? I disagree. I think Zomato is a logistics company. Right? Anyone can build their app. I'm telling you, it's trivial to build a Zomato-like app. Maybe you'll solve for challenges of scale with the app a little later. But I think the value of their offline network, delivery, it's like the seamless interface between online and offline. Same with Urban Ladder, same with lots of business. Pure software business in India don't do well. Unless you're in the hopium space, right? Like gambling, stock trading. Unless you're in one of those spaces, very hard for you to make real money doing pure software. So you would agree that Zomato is a little bit of an offline business. So what I'm trying to tell you is, we have agreed so far, brand trust data. You can't think of a single. Hello? Yeah. You can't think of a single domain outside of this that will stay relevant. Jewelry is offline. I'm talking about online. That's data. Now, consumers will be online, but consumers will not make money. Consumers spend money. Somebody said skilling. I think AI will do it. Services, if it's an online service, AI will do it. If it's an offline service, then again, we're back into offline world. Somebody said games, metaverse. Yeah, sure. Games is possible. So you're saying, okay, fundamentally, I'm just amalgamating what people are saying here. You got games, you got data, you've got trust, and you got distribution. Correct? Correct? Sales is still a very offline thing. You still call the person, you try to meet them, you're still doing a Zoom call, it's face to face. So you've agreed that it's these four things. Does anyone disagree? Games, data, content, distribution. Trust and distribution, let's say. You all agree? Great. This is what I believe in too. I think the online world is now going to see massive consolidation, which is Google is going to be unbeatable in their specific domains. If anyone needs to beat them, it is somebody like ChatGPT. And you know what? Even ChatGPT needed Microsoft's help. Even OpenAI needed Microsoft's help. It's hard to compete with a Titan. And I'm telling you, the next wave of what Google's putting out, we have some early access. It's amazing. You guys are going to love it. Google's entering robotics as well. Right? So essentially what we believe is, I'm telling you our thoughts. There are only four things that are going to be relevant online: brand, trust, games, data. And guess what? In the last 3 months, I've made investments in all these, only these four sectors. Okay. I'll tell you our thesis. Okay. I'll tell you what we are doing now. These are based on these insights, right? Why the hell does a software entrepreneur like me create content? Got it. So I would agree it's the last two ones, right? Brand, trust, distribution, blah, blah, blah. Correct? The last frontiers of what it is, you know, of us being online. What about the first two? Games. We launched a card game called Overpowered the Game. Have you heard of it? Very recently, we launched a game called Overpowered the Game. It's not the best game in the world. It's a lot like Hearthstone. It's been like a month since we launched it. But the main reason we launched it is we want to get familiar with games. We think there is going to be massive business opportunities there because your game can be slightly different from the next guy's. Your audience can be, can like your game very specifically compared to somebody else's game. We love the idea of games. So spending more time and money there. And guess what? The average unemployed Indian, who I feel is in the future compared to many of us, because they've already had this brief period of either automation or lack of skills and competency that have not got them the job. What are they doing with their lives? They still have a smartphone. They are playing games. They're actually playing games, right? So I feel like in a post-employment world or in a world where employment isn't as easy to come, a lot of us play games. Look at post-retirement. Anyone who's now in the early millennium era who's retired or sort of retiring is now playing games, computer games all the time. I do it too, right? So games is fine. What about data? Believe it or not, the entire reason we launch AI apps, we've launched a bunch of AI apps. We launched one called Alpha CTR. We've launched one called AutoCode. The entire idea is get data. God in a box, we launched this WhatsApp on ChatGPT sort of solution. We now have 5 million conversations on it. All anonymized. We don't take the names of the people. It's just the conversation. We clean out all private data. But the idea is, if I want to train an LLM, I can. I have the data set. Right? So we have been betting, like the entire reason we launch AI apps is we just want data. Right? To build better software. We don't need to, like, it's different from why Facebook needs data. Facebook needs data, they want to deliver you ads. We need data because we're trying to build our own agents who respond like the average, the median human. Right? So these are the 4 opportunities that we found. These are 4 opportunities that we spent time in. Right? But the main opportunity, the main insight for us is that brand and trust are going to be the most critical. And I believe, I see these comments on the internet sometimes. I see it on, like, for example, Variku's comments I see sometimes. Ye entrepreneur banda tha. Aaj, why is he creating content? Well, guess what? Average internet commenter. Content, trust, distribution have become far more valuable than anything else. I would wager that content, brand, trust are more important than money itself, because they are an unlimited source of money. Okay? Versus money, which is a single source of money. If I give you $5 or 5 rupees, great, you have 5 rupees. Okay? You can put that in a bank, you'll get 7% interest in FDs right now, blah, blah, blah. But if you have a brand, then every week you're going to the till and you can monetize it. And I have this year specifically, in the last few months specifically, seen the value of a brand at scale. I'm seeing AV at scale. I'm seeing overpowered at scale. Holy shit. Right? I would not trade. Lots of people ask you, right? Would you trade a YouTube channel? Actually, I'll ask you that question. Would you rather have a YouTube channel with 1 million subscribers, legitimate subscribers in a particular niche? Let's say tech reviews. Okay, you're doing reviews of new products. Apple phone app open karke dikha rahe ho. Versus you having $1 million cash, what would you choose? Why? Absolutely. Today in India, I'm talking about in India, I'm not talking about outside the world, right? If you have 1 million subscribers, if you're pulling, let's say in terms of views, pulling 500K to 1 million views video, you're probably making $1 million a year, probably more. A lot of these people won't reveal their numbers, but they're all making far more than that. Right? And we know this because we've been in this space for a very long time. Ashni Rover once said this, right? He said that I've been a banker, I've been a entrepreneur, I've done everything. Nothing pays me as much as being a creator. Right? So it's a lot of liquid cash. Brand is a lot of liquid cash. And we have learned this. Right? But I think what's even more money is to build a brand and then sell the same commoditized services and products that other people are selling. Many of those products being offline. Headphones. Is that an online business or an offline business? Offline, right? Why is this stupid entrepreneur guy sitting on stage who's built only online solutions for the last 10 years, sitting and saying offline? Because guys, insight number 4, I'm shit scared of Microsoft and Google and Facebook and whatnot. In my last business, I built a community platform called Scenes. When we started, we had no real competitors. Like we had some smaller competitors, but essentially we had Twitter come out with Twitter communities. We had WhatsApp come out with WhatsApp communities. And guess what? It is a nightmare to compete with them. Yeah, Discord as well. It's a nightmare to compete with them. I'm sure Discord and Twitter communities internally, they're worried about it. What I'm saying is you need $100 million to play that game. You need 1,000 crores to even start playing that game. And we asked ourselves, is that something we want to do? The answer is no. The opportunity, if you don't want to raise 1,000 crores, because the problem with raising 1,000 crores is not raising the 1,000 crores. I could maybe do that. You have to pay that money back. Equity is not, it's not, like people don't just hand you money and say, okay, fine, you burn it. Lots of startups make it look like that, but it comes with obligation. Every dollar comes with obligation. Right? People sort of forget that. So if you have $1,000, if you've taken $1,000 from somebody, even though in an equity case, if the business goes bust, it goes bust, you just have to give it your damn best shot. And you know what? You'll know within 6 months whether you're successful or not. Right? You'll know from the retention curves. Today, you show me a retention curve on Mixpanel or Amplitude or whatever the first few weeks, I'll be able to tell you whether it's a scalable business or not. So, essentially, we think a lot of the opportunity is going to be offline. EdTech, Unacademy. Let's talk about Unacademy, right? They bought our company. Actually, every EdTech. Why did Byju's buy Akash? Okay. Why is Unacademy going offline, starting their centers? Everyone's going offline. Guys, we have learned this about India. This is insight number 5. Name a B2B online business in India that makes money. Serious money, like 50 million and above. Name one which is profitable. B2B, I've given you some criteria. B2B, you're selling to other businesses, pure software. Zoho does not sell to India. Like a fraction of their revenue comes from India. Same with Tally. Fraction of the revenue comes from India. India Mart is, I would argue that it's an offline sort of business. Yeah, it's an offline business. Zoho's doesn't, I'm telling you, Zoho's a fraction of the revenue comes from India. Zoho's one of our clients, by the way. Magic Bricks, 99 acres, I would argue that they're all offline. Right? Like they're like I said, right, like Zomato, it's a logistics network with this thing on top. And it's not specifically B2B. So you're telling me in this room of really smart people, you can't name a single B2B online business in India that's making money, huh? Make My Trips My Biz. I would argue that it's not specifically a B2B business, and it is B2B, and then specifically you're sort of interfacing with flights. You're not selling pure software. At the end of it, you're selling a flight ticket. Right? You're not selling software. Like Zoho is software. You need a CRM, you buy it. And Zoho makes some money in India. It doesn't make all its money in India. It makes money abroad. Sridhar Vembu lived 25 years abroad. Argue, sure, it has Indian founders, but it's not really an Indian company. Right? Selling bus tickets. It's still something offline. Pure software. TCS is software as a service. You're selling human beings. I'll tell you what pure software is. Okay? I'll give you an example of pure software. You guys have all used Facebook. How many human beings on Facebook customer support have you spoken to? None. I'm talking about pure software. What? Spell it? No, not heard of it. What I'm saying is, point I'm trying to make is, it's very difficult for you to pinpoint a pure software business in India that makes money. Especially on B2B. Maybe there are some niche products there like security solutions. You build a Symantec or a McAfee version in India, it would probably make some money. But I'm talking about big money, guys. I'm talking about 50 million, 100 million worth raising 1,000 crores like we spoke about. Essentially what we have found, and this is insight number 4 or 5, is that Udan's still offline B2B. I would argue that these are not B2B businesses, right? Zerodha is a consumer business, right? I would argue on the consumer side, this is another insight, right? There are only a few types of businesses that make money in India, and we like to bracket them as hopium. Okay? What is hopium? Hope plus opium. Addiction. Astrology. MPL, Dream 11, etc. Your Zerodhas of the world. You have a power user in all these businesses crazily transacting. Right? Nothing wrong with any of these businesses. They're good businesses. What I'm saying is you're still very dependent on a very specific type of power user in India who is sort of using it like a lottery system. Even EdTech, believe it or not. Right? And we are sort of in that space. But I'll tell you, a lot of this thing in it, people coming in EdTech is hope. That, oh, main ye kar lunga and then I'll get a massive job. I'll get a 2x. That's why many of you guys are here. Maybe not. Second thing is there's also this hope. Like we get into these primal desires, right? Of why do people go to college? It's necessary for me to do because we have sort of built in some of the years a replacement to college, right? It is important. And I'll tell you what, you may argue with me about this in public, but you know it for sure. You're coming to college for 2 reasons. A, obviously you want a great job, right? At the end of it. B, you're coming for a significant other. You are hoping somewhere in the back of your head, you can argue with me, you can disagree with me, some of you are shaking your heads, but I'll tell you, this is the truth. You're hoping somewhere in the back of your head that you find a girlfriend or a boyfriend. These are primal desires. So that's why I said, like, hope, right? So these sort of businesses are great, but we have not, like I said, right? offline in India works the best. People value offline in India, and that's our final insight, which is that eventually the products that we sell have to be offline. We will use the data online, we will create the distribution online, but we will sell offline. Right? I'm coming to the thesis of why I'm doing what I'm doing today. Okay? And I feel like for many of you, the online world is slowly going to erode on you. Right? And the longer you stay stuck to it, a lot of people ask me this, right? Like, Varun, AI is coming, what do I do? Well, guess what? There is an entire offline world for you to go to. And it doesn't look exciting to anyone. Everyone's looking at the offline. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to run a fleet of cabs. Yeah, I don't want to, run a bunch of petrol pumps. Yeah, I don't want to do real estate. I don't want to manage other people's wealth. But that's where the cash is. And that is where I think the next 10 years of where India is going to go to, that is where it is. Build your brand online, build your trust online. Like I said, the 4 things that remain online that you have told me. I have not told you this. But offline is where the opportunity is. Don't be caught in this mindset or this idea that in the world of AI, I need to learn AI skills and I need to compete with the Microsoft. You can't. I can't. Right? Like tomorrow, if a better model comes out than what we're doing, all of our time is wasted. And I'm telling you, we don't have the capital resources of a Google or Microsoft. Google, who is literally saying, I need to do this to defend my throne of Google search. It's not some Gmail or something which is there like, oh, it makes some cash, but it's fine if there's a competitor. It's like their core throne. They are not going to stop at anything to prove that they're the best of the AI. Right? So any creative skill that you have is eventually going to dwindle down. There is an entire offline world that is open to you. Build the brand online, build the trust online, build the distribution online, and go offline. Awesome. That was it for me. Does anybody have any questions around this? Shoot. Yeah, I think if you can't teach digital skills, like you're coming here to essentially learn soft skills, right? Let's say to an IIM. I think that fundamentally you would be, you'd want to go to a college where you learn as much hands-on as possible. So I think you have, especially in the offline world, you'll like, why don't we have a sort of a college to teach you purely about real estate? It's so big in India. We have like these side jobs. We have civil engineering. We have like these workarounds, but we don't have it for a specific job. Right? So I feel like you'll have most of colleges like that, tailored around specific jobs. Yeah. But I think that many of those people don't know how to build a brand online. I think brand building happens online. Have you noticed? Right? Brand building happens online. It's too slow offline. Like I saw a bunch of stalls outside, okay? For sort of like, there's a mental health company, there's good companies. But I think that'd be better served building a brand online than offline. Offline is just too small. You meet like 100 people, 200 people per day. It's like exhausting, blah, blah. Online, I do a video. If I do it well, I can pull 500,000 views. Great. You're done on 2-3 videos. People know who you are. People know what your product is. Right. So, yeah. What year is it? Is it 2015 or is it 2023? Like to answer today, I would go all in on YouTube. I would do exactly what I was doing today. Dude, why is Nikhil Kamath on YouTube? Yeah, there's the reason, right? Because we have all understood that there are like 500-600 million people here. YouTube, WhatsApp. If you're anywhere going to be slave to Apple's ecosystem, iOS ecosystem, or Android ecosystem, you might as well be slave to YouTube ecosystem. What's the big difference? YouTube, unlike Apple and Android, gives you shit tons of free views if you know how to play it well. So yeah, I'd go all in on YouTube. Yeah. We're going to do something in travel. We're going to do something in probably headphones, like sort of this thing. I think all our edtechs are offline. We don't see our edtechs as teaching skills. We see it as placements. And placement is a very pick up the phone, convince the client, convince the recruiter, negotiate with that person for the salary. It's very offline. So for some businesses, yeah, maybe for agri and stuff like that. But I believe more in the credit model of things, right? Where I think there are like maybe 25 million serious transacting users in India, and you should go after them. How do I stay ahead of the common sense? I think I'll ask you a serious question, okay? 2 years ago, you didn't know YouTube was going to be big or what? Huh? You guys didn't know. You guys are young. You guys spent time on YouTube. 2 years ago, you didn't know it would be big. You all knew. But you were like, oh, if I say this, it's going to sound non-professional. Well, guess what? Professional follows consumer. If all the consumers are like, guess what? All the large businesses come to you. Come to that platform. We do YouTube for Zoho. We do YouTube for a bunch of clients. And you would never have expected them to be on YouTube. YouTube, Instagram, whatever, video. Right? So all of you knew, but it's sort of like you were worried about, is it going to sound professional? Somebody has a question. Yeah, go ahead. Lots of pain, I would say. I've tried everything. Trust me, I've tried everything you can imagine. I've tried. Like I have a laundry list of failures, but we fail on purpose. We fail to kind of figure out, does something work or not? Some things take longer to tell us whether they work or not. Some things we figure out quickly. The philosophical angle to this is, I think, jobs, modern concept of jobs, about 300 years old. Oxford University, one of the oldest universities in the world, it's about like 400-500 years old. I think this do a job for money, like modern concept of money, and then spend that money in other places, is a very relatively new concept for as long as humans have existed. We all socially think it's fine. I think there are two versions. Okay, there's a utopia. You know what utopia means? Like a potential amazing world, right? I think utopia is AI drives down the cost of everything. It's driven down the cost of food production. It's driven down the cost of skills provision. It's given down brought down the cost of manufacturing, because it'll have secondary effects. And then we have other advancements, right? Sam Altman's investment in energy, right? So I think we'll have very cheap, plentifully accessible energy, plenty cheap sort of. The goal is, can we get everything down to the cheapest? Like maybe if your living expenses per month cost you 5 rupees, because you brought down the cost of everything so far. You think it's impossible? Look at gene sequencing. Gene sequencing used to cost $10 million like 10 years ago. Today it costs hardly $2,000, $3,000. Actually, not even that. Probably Map My Genome will do it for 20,000 rupees. Right? So we can bring down things by magnitudes. And I think we are potentially just waiting for that. Yeah. I'd choose niches that are untapped. Like AI was a very untapped niche, right? So we just said, why not double down there? I think there are plenty of niches. Like I don't think anyone's done travel well, right? Finance, for example, a lot of finance influencers thought the end goal here is to do brand deals. If you think a little deeper and you say, oh, there's potentially an insurance company I can launch on the back of a YouTube channel, then you think about it very differently, right? So I think there are lots of untapped niches. Agriculture is great, yeah. What's your name? Govind. Govind, we've done this. We have 1 million users across our AI apps. Revenue-wise, it's not great. Like, it's not a large business. Potentially. But I think think about financial services, right? You go to anyone, every founder will say, I'll do it automated. Every guy who actually has the money says, I want a guy sitting on the opposite end telling me what to do and telling me every week my money is safe. It's like consumer wants something else. Consumer wants a human on the other end. Sure. Amazing. Just make sure you export the software outside. What? I don't know about rising. I don't think things change as much. Like AI is a new trend, obviously. There'll be some activity there. Lots of things like we'll use AI. Like I think real estate is going to become much better with AI. Like today, every time I look into the real estate world, I'm constantly getting scammed in real estate. Like people say carpet area is this one and then square, like the actual built up area, something like I don't know any of these things. I think, like I said, distribution trust, right? If you can build a trustworthy sort of thing saying that, hey, we're going to make it fair, it's hard to do because you're competing with the entire sort of faceless, nameless set of brokers outside. But I think any space can be an exciting space. Like that's the thing, right? You could be the best dancer in India and still make far more money than the median software engineer. Right. So if you wherever you can get to top 1% of the field is a good space to get in. Twitter specifically. I'll tell you why. I've run a consumer platform, right? We've run a community platform. Anytime you are paid for pure engagement, YouTube does it very differently, right? YouTube has a concept called RPM. Have you all heard of RPM? RPM is revenue per milli, right? Which is per 1,000 views, how much do you get paid out in AdSense, right? But different niches have different RPM. A Kariminati Hindi roasting audience will have a very different RPM from my content, which is English plus AI, right? So that way you make sure that you sort of force people into being good or filling in important niches. With Twitter, you just pay people for any engagement, dude. It's so easy. It's like a prison. Have you been to prison? You know, the strategy to be the top dog in prison is to go on day one. Suppose you get into prison tomorrow, okay? Somebody throws you in jail. The next day, what you do is pick the biggest guy in the jail and go fight him. That's a strategy to be known in jail, right? To build a reputation in jail. That's what's happening on Twitter.
Do you think AI is going to take away jobs?
Yes.
Okay, and subject to that. So when we saw the revolution in cars in the automobile sector, a lot of people thought many quote what it was doing because the people who rode horses, people who have these sides, etc. They told that you were taking away our jobs, taking away our opportunities. But fast forward to today, you know that the automotive sector is such a big sector. It's generating jobs in terms of drivers, in terms of engineers, in terms of mechanics, people who are working as blue collar workers. So do you think AI is heading in the same direction? Maybe now we're seeing AI and it's taking away jobs, but in the future it's going to generate many.
I think steam engines and AI have a very different, they're not the same thing. I'll tell you why. With steam engines, you still needed somebody to make the cognitive decisions. You have a train, you needed somebody to decide, is the train going to go left or you have a car, somebody has to decide whether the car goes left or right. There's a human behind the wheel. The idea with AI is very different. We don't have a physical, steam engines brought about a physical rival. Okay, they're still important for what's going to happen with AI. AI brought a cognitive rival, right? So I think the cognitive rival is the problem here, right? And I think with the cognitive rival, they can solve everything. In fact, we are all gearing up for something called ASI, which is artificial superintelligence, which is today it's as smart as human beings. What happens when it gets a notch smarter? Like people have theorized on this, right? Like what happens when an AI gets smarter? Does it, like the stories written about it, right? Like, does it go and destroy the world? If so, why? Another theory says it's going to be like, let's say you have a box, okay? Let's say you're able to personalize it. You're able to give it a human avatar and body and whatnot. And it has like this God level software inside it. A lot of people theorize it's just going to sit there and run calculations in its head that you have no idea of. Like it's maybe mining the deeper mysteries of the universe that we don't even understand, right? You're building something smarter than you. So it's not going to explain everything like to you in a simple language, especially if it's doing things that you don't need to understand in the first place. So we don't know what's going to happen when we have a ASI.
Sorry, due to time constraints, this will be the last question.
Last question. Let's go.
Actually, sorry. This was the last question.
Oh, that was the last question. Okay, wonderful.
Hey, sorry.
Thank you for your time, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Varun. Thank you for that insightful speech. I request Roshni to present him with a memento.
Happy to.
I request the audience to not leave before the speaker. Everyone, please remain seated. Do not leave before the speaker leaves. Thank you.
No.
Right. Please, no photos. Everyone, please remain seated, and the speaker will leave. And please maintain decorum and distance, please. रुक जाओ, इनको जाने दो. We request the audience to remain seated and not disturb the speaker. अपनी मेल भेज रोशनी भट्टाचार्य नाम दिखा के मैं क्या करूँगा. मेरा फोन है.
Everyone, please remain seated.
Request them to remain seated at the session. Audience, we request you to remain seated. There's another speaker session which will start soon. So please remain seated for the next session. इनको बिठा.